Hey y'all, Wackywormer here with another episode of my GregTech New Horizons playthrough. Last episode we assembled this Tinker's Smeltery. We got some lava from an underground mine shaft I had located. We made this casting table, which required us to kind of build up the smeltery first and use it to pour out some seared stone. Then we were able to make these casts, the pickaxe head cast and the ingot cast. And then we put the pickaxe head cast to good use on this bronze pickaxe here, right? And you can see off camera, I've already leveled this thing up to mining level 4. And that, if we look over at this chest over here, enabled me to go ahead and mine some diamond ore, which I then smelted into 2 diamonds. This is 1 diamond per ore, so it's a terribly inefficient recipe. I believe that you could place these diamonds in the world, hit them with the hammer, and get diamonds out of them, just like we do with coal ore, for example. But if we look at our iron hammer here, it has iron level 2. I assume that's the mining level of it. It would not let me mine up the diamonds with these hammers, right? So I assume I maybe need a steel hammer to do that, or even better, I'm not sure. So I just smelted only 2 diamonds because that's what we'll need today for the Macerator. So yeah, so we're going to work on the Macerator today. We're going to work on the Forge Hammer today. And then we're also going to hopefully get all the way through the Primitive Blast Furnace. That's the hope. So with that being said, as always, we'll refer back to our quest book and the Steam Age. And if we look down here, our next step is an anvil, right? So we need 10 blocks of iron, some iron plates and screws, and then we'll craft up some anvils. These blocks of iron were created, and I've already done this. They were made in the steam compressor. That's why this was a precursor to this recipe. 9 ingots produces a block of iron. This was way, way lower on steam consumption than the alloy smelter. So I had no issues with keeping this thing running for all 10 of those blocks. So I'm hoping, like I said earlier, that this is going to be one of our high consumers and everything else will be a little bit easier to just kind of keep running all the time. So yeah, so I think all that's left here is just to actually craft the anvil. Let's pull up the Forge Hammer anvil. And then it wants us to craft 2 of these. So we will do that. Ooh, and we get both a block of iron and a piston as rewards for that. I'm going to keep that in my back pocket for now, but that's really good. Okay, and then next up is the actual Forge Hammer. So bronze pipes, bronze hull, sticky piston, or a regular piston, either or, and the anvil. And so do I have everything? I do, and I only want to make 1 of these. There's no reason to have 2 of them yet. And then we'll just put these other tools back in here. You can see off screen I've kind of built up my supply of crafting materials. Just to, try to make these videos run a little bit smoother. You can see all the clay that I picked up here. Remember last episode we needed, 1,008 clay, something like that, for the Primitive Blast Furnace. So I've got all this, plus this drawer is full of 16 stacks of clay. So we're good on clay, I think. All right, so let's put this Forge Hammer down right here. We need our wrench. We need to, it's already connected, so that's good. And then steam's coming out the back. It doesn't really matter. We can make it, come out the side there. And yeah, and then that should leach some steam out of this system. And then I really need to get some charcoal in there running to produce some more steam to make up for that. So the Forge Hammer is going to make plate creation a little bit more efficient. In fact, let's go ahead and grab, let's say like 16, 17, 18. So our previous recipe was 2 to 1, right? With the hammer and the crafting grid, it was 2 plates, or 2 ingots produced 1 plate. Over here, it's 3 ingots produces 2 plates. So I don't know math. I don't know if that's 50% more efficient or what, but it's definitely a better recipe. So I wanted to go ahead and knock that out and get that up there. There's another recipe that is increased in efficiency by the Macerator. I mean, really, all of your ore processing, right? is increased by the macerator. It's going to double all of your ores. But specifically, I'm thinking about flint dust, which is required for the primitive blast furnace. I made some. You could see at the beginning of the episode I was pouring up some glass over here, and the glass recipe requires, I think it's like 8 quartz sand and 1 flint dust. That 1 flint dust required 9 pieces of flint with the mortar to make. And this macerator, in fact, we can go ahead and let's get like 16. I don't actually know. I should look at the recipe and see exactly what we need. This is not going to last. But anyways, this is going to give us like a 2-to-1 ratio, I think, of flint to dust, which is obviously way better than 9-to-1. Okay. So let's take this over here, and then we'll just do like 20 to start out with. You can see it consumed 2 right off the bat, and it's going to produce 1 for us. And then let's refer to our multi-block tab. Oops. And then our primitive blast furnace. Okay, so we should have more than enough flint. We need a bunch of iron plates. We need 28 iron plates, so I'll load that up. 4 furnaces, that's not a big deal, not a big deal. Okay, this calcite dust, and then further down we require gypsum dust. These were both, I don't know if you want to call them like tertiary ores in the ore veins or what you want to call them, but they are quite rare in the ore veins that they appear in. So it's not like, you know, the brown limonite ores where like they're just everywhere. These were both calcite and gypsum were very rare. And so I don't actually have a ton of them. I have enough that with ore doubling, and I should have some dust of calcite. Yeah, some crushed. I thought I had some pure dust, but maybe not. And then there's my gypsum. And then there's the rest of my gypsum. So I think I need 36 of these doubled in order to have the amount that I need, right? And that's quite a lot. So that's why we made the macerator. That's going to help us process those ores a lot faster. Let's go ahead and grab a little bit more coal to keep this up and running. And then so I'm kind of in a waiting game on the macerator here. I guess while I do that, I can load up the forge hammer. Let's just do another 18. With some ingots for plates. And then we are currently consuming, yeah, I think we're consuming more steam than we have, right? More steam than we're producing. So we might need to cut one of these machines off for a second. All right, so let's make our furnaces. We need 4 of these. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then we need, I think it's something like, let's just check the quest book. Wrench and the furnace on the bottom. Got it. Wrench, furnace on the bottom, and then we surround it with plates. And we do need 4 of these, right? Yeah. So we're a little bit shy on plates. How's this looking? That's good on the flint dust. And we're still, let's see, so we're at 3 plates. We need 4 more. So that should get us there. And then let's go ahead and let some of this ore process. And then there we go. All right, so that's our 4 iron furnaces. Okay, and then so we have our dust here. I'm going to do a lot of that off camera, but I do want to show, so like this macerator is crushing this calcite ore and is producing crushed calcite ore, right? Which we could take with our iron hammer in a crafting grid pop it up there, and then we get the impure dust. But that is also what our forge hammer will do for us. So at the expense of steam, we don't use the iron that would be, or the durability, I guess, associated with using the hammer. And then, of course, we do have to purify these in our cauldron, right? Okay, so that's how ore processing works, and that gets us to ore doubling, which is really useful, right? Later tiers of the Macerator will have multiple outputs, and you can tell with some of these ores, they're made up of a lot of different elements. Like, look at everything that's in basaltic mineral sand there, right? In later tiers of the game, we'll get multiple outputs from processing this. Right now, we just kind of get the primary one, which would be iron, which is still really useful for us. Okay, so I'm going to process a lot of this stuff off screen. It's all pretty self-explanatory. And then I'll see you when I get closer down towards the end here. Okay, so I just ran over to a canyon biome. It's a very small biome, you can see on my map. But I had found that, and the terracotta or the hardened clay, whatever it's called, the recipe for getting clay dust is a lot more efficient from that than it is from actual clay. So I just ran over and harvested a decent amount of that. I have a lot of extra clay anyways from collecting, so I'm still going to use it, but this is going to supplement it and allow me to hang on to a lot of my clay reserves. Speaking of exploring in the map, I did finally discover a village. Oh yeah, here we go. So I finally discovered a village here. I picked up a couple things from it, but really need to go back there with an empty inventory. Of course, it has a huge smeltery in the middle of it. So I'm going to go back and pick up some of those bricks and stuff and expand our smeltery at some point. Among the other things that are there that I want to make use of. So yeah, just wanted to show you that real quick. Alright, so we're still working on macerating a lot of stuff. I just finished up the calcite. I could pull this out and toss it all in there. And hopefully that gets me 75, yeah. So that's plenty for that quest. Working on the gypsum now. And then I've still got all of this clay to grind up into clay dust. While that's going on though, I can work on the extractor here, the extractor. This is going to be needed to make rubber, and you can see that's going to get us down into a little bit closer to the LVH. There's still, you know, nether, sulfur, all that kind of stuff, but this is going to get us a little bit closer. So we're working on this glass quest. I've got the rest of this glass smelting in the smeltery, and then we've got the chisel here. Which we should be, I should have just marked it, should be ready to make, let's just make it from here. Yep. And then so in order to get like vanilla Minecraft glass, we have to use the chisel. And if I can get a little bit organized here. We have to use the chisel and the tinker's glass and chisel that back into a vanilla glass. So I'm going to do that really quick. And then we should be able to make the extractor, which is going to help us with our rubber production. Alright, so we've got our glass. If the chisel works the way it always used to, we just craft it out like that. And then there's that quest complete. And then let's make our steam extractor. Alright, so we should be ready to finish up our extractor with the hull. Oh wait, no, it's the hammer, right? Yep, with the hull. And then that should be all the parts that we need. Perfect. And then I really need to work on the arrangement of these machines over here, but for now, we'll just put it down right there. And then I'll come back and hit this with the wrench at some point. But that's going to help us extract a bunch of rubber. We're going to need a lot of rubber out of that. All right, I am just now finishing up the craft of the primitive blast furnace, or whatever it's called. This was by far the grindiest recipe I have ever done so far, I guess. I don't know. It was welcome to GregTech, right? It was definitely a thing. So we still need, I guess, this like furnace controller block or something. But we should have all the parts we need for that. And then, okay, so this says 3x4x3 hollow, controllers in the front center, fire brick, everything except the controller. The top block is also empty. And then you can share these. So we're going to do, I guess, like right in here. And then we do something like this. And then I guess this will go like that. Oops. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then theoretically, if we take some steel and some coal coke down there. Oh, it does look like it's doing something. Nice. Okay, well, hopefully that makes steel. Yeah, and then that's cool. So obviously I'll let this run a lot off camera. I'll load it up with a lot more iron. This is like my last piece of iron, I think. There's a couple more in there. There's one in there. So I need to process some more ores. But now that I've got the macerator, I can double them, right? At the expense of a very slow processing time. But I can double them, which is nice. So cool. So that's the blast furnace. And then we've got the macerator, the forge hammer, and the extractor, which I've also been letting run just a little bit off camera, processing some of that rubber wood down to raw rubber dust, which I understand. I think we're going to need a ton of this at some point in the near future. Cool. That's a lot of progress for today. We've got, I think, basically all of the kind of tier 1 steam machines. And then we're really kind of moving on to, let's open this up so we can see everything. We're going to be working on some steel, and then, yeah, it's about getting to the nether and getting some stuff to get ready for steam turbines and LV. So, yeah, fun stuff. All right. Well, if you like the episode, please subscribe and give me a thumbs up, and I'll see y'all next time.